So in the first months I did before I even started making car content on YouTube was this radio. This is a Kenwood KDC-258U. Basically the stock radio didn't have any way for you to plug in a device like my iPod. The stock radio only had, I think, a CD player and just the regular radio functionality. So that's why I put in this Kenwood. But now, 5 years later, I don't have any way to connect my phone to my radio. And all my other family's cars do that. Mine doesn't. So why don't we just change the radio? Which is why today we're going to be installing a Kenwood DMX4707S. Bought a Kenwood because I had no issues with the other radio, so if it ain't broke, don't fix it. What's most important about it is that it has, it has Android Auto on it. I don't use CarPlay, I don't have an iPhone, nor do I ever want an iPhone. I bought this radio from Crutchfield.com, not sponsored, I just love the stuff that they sell. I got my last radio on Crutchfield. When you buy a radio from Crutchfield, they give you this adapter, which means you wire the radio to this, and then you just plug this in your stock radio port. Normally you'd have to like cut your port apart on your stock radio harness. This makes it super, super simple. Before we break out the old one and put in the new one, I want to get this all wired up so that way when we go to do the car stuff we can just plug everything in and that's it. Okay, so in the box you get a whole bunch of good goodies. Head unit, manual, trim plate, microphone. I don't know what this does. What does it say? Found it. This green wire is for a parking sensor. I don't have a parking sensor, so I will not be using it. These wires are your connection wires for the radio, which gives you power with this one, and then your speakers with that one. You also get these radio removal tools and trim tools, installation screws, of course, and yeah. So the wiring for this is pretty easy. If you never wired anything before, basically you have to strip both wires and then you crimp each end into one end of the butt connector. Crutchfield makes it easy. They already pre-strip the wires for you, so you just remove the extra coating. And I did have to cut the wires though because they were a bit too long for the butt connectors. They're that length for crimp caps, but I didn't use crimp caps in this. I used butt connectors. Basically, I have the owner's manual open, which has a wiring diagram in it for the plugs for the radio, and then up at the top you can see I have my tablet over there, and that has the wiring diagram for the adapter up and ready to go. So it's just a matter of matching all the colors together. All the same colors go to each color. That's what happens most of the time. And yeah, I didn't record all of the wires being crimped, but I mean, do you really want to watch 15 minutes of me crimping wires together? Yeah, I didn't think so. Let's get back into the install. Our wiring harness is together. I also went ahead and heat shrunk the connectors so they're nice and watertight. But now this is together. This end will plug into our car and this will plug into our new radio. Black goes in the bottom, white goes in the top. There we go. Now we're ready for the install. But before we can install the new radio, we need to uninstall the old one. But the old radio is out. I forgot that basically you have to take apart the entire lower dash to get this panel out. There are these cables. I don't know if you can see it. There's one down here. But those connect to your side knobs, your directional knob, and your temperature knob. And they're where they connect is like way up in the center console. So yeah. You have to tear apart the entire dash to remove them. This wiring job, I can't really be too mad at myself for this because this is what Crutchfield recommends you use, is wire caps. Actually, they recommend crimp caps now, but yeah, we use butt connectors instead. There's also a cable back here. This is for the subwoofer in the back. This is the panel that's going to go on the radio, so we'll put this on the right side. The other panel is in here because there's a wire connected to it that I just can't figure out how to remove. So it'll have to stay in there unless, yeah, that's like, I don't even know. There's a cable that has a USB port on the end of it, and that's how I plug in my phone to use the Android Auto. Now, I thought at first of like command stripping it to the side of the center console, but then when I thought about it some more, I had a really good idea. This is the center shifter surround. Basically, there's an ashtray that goes in here, and then this is the cigarette lighter. Now, I use the ashtray for quarters and other coins because I don't smoke cigarettes or anything for that matter. Now, there are some cars where the cigarette lighter you can plug a car charger into and it'll charge your phone. This isn't one of those. This will fry your electronics if you try to put it in, because I know firsthand. Put our USB port right here. You know what? We'll just put this back in the car how it is. Make it play another day. I see there's a little notch here, so maybe I can make something with a little clip that clips in, and we'll keep it secure. But for right now, I think this will work just the way it is. Alright, it ain't pretty, but she's in there. That's kind of it. I went to go set up Android Auto, and it didn't work. My phone told me that I needed to put the parking brake up, even though it was up, and that I couldn't continue unless I had the parking brake up. And it was because I totally overlooked a step. My car's a 2005. So I thought that, oh, I could just not do this. I don't have to do it in order to set up Android Auto. The handbrake has a light in the dash that tells you when the handbrake's on. So what I had to do was, per the instructions on the radio, was splice it into my handbrake wire. So I took apart the center console where my handbrake was, and then I had to figure out how I was going to do it. I have a bunch of butt connectors, so I figured, why not use a butt connector? So if we want to imagine, this is the wire coming off of our parking brake, and then these two wires are our outputs. So this wire goes to the car light in the dash to tell me that the brake is on, and this wire goes to the radio. So all I did was I took the wires, cut them, stripped them, and then I basically like twisted them together so that they were almost like one wire, put it in the butt connector, crimped it, did the other side just like normal, and I got past that screen in Android Auto setup. So hey, you know what? Sometimes, even if you think it's simple, it sometimes is just that simple. Hey Google, pause music. I've had it now for about a week. Let's start off with the pros. I love the screen size. I'm not a huge fan of like big screens like Tesla screens, but this screen is perfect size. Not too small, not too big. It is perfect. I like the Android Auto UI much better than the Kenwood stock UI. I don't really like stock radio UIs. They're all just kind of meh. Maps is awesome. I thought that was going to be a con. Before this radio, I used to have my phone up next to the A-pillar, which was great with using maps because I can look directly down the road and then quickly glance over to the left and then back at the road. I wouldn't be taking my eyes off of the road for too long. Cons with this radio, I can no longer use my iPod in the car. It is not an Apple issue. It is not a Kenwood issue. It is an Android Auto issue. So Kenwood has this thing where you can hook up two devices via Bluetooth, and one can receive calls and the other plays music. What happens with Android Auto is that your phone takes priority over Bluetooth, which means you cannot do the two device Bluetooth, stuff. Kind of defeats the purpose of why I bought this radio in the first place. Well, one of the reasons. I do want Android Auto and I got it. Another con is text messages. It'll display on the screen that I have a text message, but when I ask Google to read said text messages, basically tells me that there are no messages to read. Other than that, it's a solid system. Yeah, I give it like 4 out of 5 stars. Kinda it for this video. I know I didn't show the full process in this video, and I apologize for that. I'm just getting back into this again, so there's things that I have to remember that I'll forget to do. If you want to see more of my shenanigans with the Adventure Wagon and other projects that I'm doing, go ahead and click the circle. It'll be around here somewhere. You can go ahead and subscribe. Over here, you're going to find yourselves 2 videos. The top one is one that YouTube picked for you if you trust the algorithm enough. I don't know, I don't trust the algorithm enough, but if you trust me more, you can click that video on the bottom. That's one that I picked out just for you. So go ahead, keep watching some more YouTube. Click on one of those videos there, and yeah, I'll see you in the next video. This is the 3rd time I've recorded this outro. The second one would have worked, but my microphone wasn't on. Yep.